Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Astral Sorcery. Today I'm going to be covering a few of the updates in the new version 1.8.2, as well as some new items that came about in the final chapter. So before I get into anything too sinister and epic, I think I should cover some of the basic few changes that have happened in Astral Sorcery in the latest update. And that is, there's been a lot of texture updates. If you notice, like the resonating wand and all of its variants all have different and unique looks now. You have many of the other wands as well. Most importantly, your different ores have changed, which are the things that you will be looking for out in the world. So you've got your aquamarine shale and your rock crystal ore, which, are looking a little bit different than they used to. You've got some other things, like your Starlight Infuser, and probably most noted is going to be your Celestial Crystal Cluster. When it is at maximum level, allow me to remove this mantle here so that you don't get the effects from that. It will give off some of these little white particles so that you know that it is ready to be harvested instead of having to wait around for, is it done yet? I don't know. I can't tell if it's one size category too small or not. Now you know, because it'll give off these little particles. Now besides that, there are some other things, like the Containment Chalice, as well as a few things have changed in name, not to mention some new additional items have been put in place here. The idea here is the Containment Chalice now will automatically remove Starlight from a nearby, light well, if it is hooked up to it. So therefore, if I grab light well here, plus a rock crystal of some sort, and let's just place this up over here, put it open to the sky, but I'm going to change the time to midnight so that we can get the best results. Put down my Containment Chalice. It just needs to be nearby. In fact, nearby can be a very broad term, but it will start eventually feeding into this. And you'll notice that it starts off with a very small amount, 144 millibuckets, so that's like 0.144 buckets worth. And over time, it will start filling this up until it reaches its maximum, or the crystal or whatever is in this area ends up being used up. Now that is not the only thing. Of course, there is something else that's going on with the Containment Chalice. Not to say that this isn't already amazing as it is, but that is that you can now use it in a redstone variant, so you can turn it off and it will no longer interact with anything nearby, and it will just kind of sit there looking really pretty. So if you want, you need to have the redstone actually affect the bottom block of the two, because it's actually like a 2-block tall structure that you place down, if you have any inclination to get that working. And then, of course, we have a few other very minor changes, like the journal is now called the Astral Tome, and the Starlight Resonator, besides it looking a little bit different, where'd it go here? There it is, this little guy here is now called a Phasic Resonator, and it also has a new upgrade. But the things that I'm going to be covering besides this little update are going to be the Phasic Resonator today, plus we're going to cover the Ever-Shifting Fountain, and the Mantic Prime. Going down into my little mob eating area that I have set up here, I also have it connected to another area, and that is for our wonderful, wonderful new contraption here, which you will find it in your Astral Tome, no longer your journal, but in your Astral Tome in the Radiance chapter. If you click here, you then scroll back and you can see that it has all the wands as before. Of course, they have the different images of the wands so that there's no confusion. But off the side here from the Containment Chalice, because a Containment Chalice is actually required for this to currently work, you will find the Ever-Shifting Fountain. Click on that. It tells you all sorts of information about it. You will need the your iridescent altar with, your rotating items here, plus a whole bunch of relatively mundane stuff. I mean, yes, you have resonating gems, but you should already have the ability to make these at this point. And you can make your Ever-Shifting Fountain, which by itself does absolutely nothing. But if you build this structure around it, it will do for you absolutely nothing still, because this is just kind of like the Ever-Shifting Fountain is part 1. The ring around it is part 2, which, yes, you have to have this entire empty space around it empty and clear. If you have stuff interfering with that, then it will not function as it's supposed to. But then you can make the next part of it, the Mantic Prime. Now, the Neuromantic Prime will require attunement like a mantle does. So you'll have to put an attunement crystal in your iridescent altar on the side there, according to this, which I believe is octans. And therefore, you should be able to make your Neuromantic Prime with just a couple of items on the side. So this is probably a little bit more expensive than your typical recipe, but it will have great effect. Then you will need to place it underneath your ever-shifting fountain on the bottom here. You can see it as I'm showing you. Then you will need to put a Containment Chalice on top of that. And what do you do with all this good stuff? Well, I have a bucket of liquid starlight. I'm going to go into creative so that I can just infinitely pour starlight into this thing as needed, rather than have to switch off to multiple different buckets. And you will start seeing it being affected. Now keep in mind that I have some extra containment chalices here on the side. And as I can fly, I'm just going to show you, it is nothing to do with this dark structure I have on the side. I just put that there so that I could get up to it. It's basically this structure here. I put some lights around on the outside edges just in case it gets dark, which it is going to be getting dark here shortly because I'm making it so. And then you will need to just put a little bit of starlight, liquid starlight, into this, and we'll start using that to generate this massive and amazing ability here that you will see as it starts to just wreck the entire landscape. No, it will just wreck all the landscape directly below it. And it just starts eating it up. And actually, it will harvest all of those blocks instead of just destroying them. Though if there is lava or other liquids down below, it will probably, kind of let those flow. As you can see here, it is currently doing the job here. It's making wonderful colors, shooting down into the underground. And you can see that, yes, there's water flowing down underneath, and it goes all the way down to bedrock, as you can see here, and it will actually just kind of narrow down to one block, and therefore it will harvest at the very bottom all of those wonderful, wonderful liquids that you could potentially get, which in this case, you would not know what ones they are unless you have a specific item, and that is a Phosic Resonator that has been upgraded, and that is the Icosic Resonator. It could be Ichosic, I don't know, but I'm calling it Icosic Resonator. And as before, it will require the Octans upgrade on top of your Phosic Resonator. And all you need to do is just while holding Shift, right-click, and it will turn into the other version. Otherwise, it's a regular Phosic Resonator, and it will tell you your little blue areas or dark blue areas out there that have a lot of starlight. If you Shift, right-click, it will also tell you a little bit something extra. And I will show you those in a moment. But for the time being, this thing is currently doing its job. And what is its job? Well, at the cost of liquid starlight, it will harvest other liquids from beyond the core of the planet. And in this case, it's lava. So if I kind of sit here, you see it's got 11, 12 buckets of lava, etc. And it's still continuing on. And if I have I have another one over here, so it may also interact with those ones. But it's doing a really good job here. It will also interact because there is starlight currently above it with the lava, and therefore potentially make some offshoots. So if you want to harvest those as well, I recommend that you do so with maybe like a push lens to push the particles, or just take advantage of where they land. If they land down in the center here, then you can just have push lenses pushing across the top. You can have blocks up on top here. They won't make any effect, but as soon as you put a block on the inside or blocking this open area, then you're in trouble. Now you can actually put something on top of this itself, and it won't affect anything either, just as a heads up. But if you do want to shut it off, you're pretty much going to have to either put a block down in place here or remove the liquid starlight from the center, and it will automatically stop harvesting from the center there. But once it runs out of liquid starlight, it will stop. And typically, the fluids that it's going to find are going to be lava or an infinite source of water. And well, there you go, those ones there. And if this is the current state. It may change in the future, but this is what it is currently good for. A liquid quarry that also will mine everything down there. Now, I probably could have picked up all the blocks that it shot out of there, and I love the wonderful colors that are coming out from that. But if you look here, I've got these little like particle effects shooting up from the ground. that is from the Icosic Resonator, and that is its function, is as you fly around, you can potentially find different areas and different things that you can harvest with your new contraption, as I showed you up there. So you'll need to fly around a little bit and potentially see these new areas where you've got maybe some water or some lava fountains. Right now I've got like a little water fountain. At the previous spot that I had, there was lava, which is why I specifically harvested that one. And you might be able to find some other ones just by floating around. Now, if I need to, I can change this back to a regular Phosic Resonator, as I was saying, but if I turn on the Icosic Resonator option, it will not function like the other one did before. So it's just something to keep in mind, and it is a tool to allow you to find the liquid that you would like to harvest. And then, of course, you would have to actually move the entirety of the structure at this point in order to better harvest that area. So that's pretty much it. I mean, there isn't a whole lot about this. There we go. There's a whole bunch of the materials that it mined out right there. And there are more down on the sides over here. So many different ores. It's an instant quarry of sorts, but all the items could be destroyed by lava down below. So it is a quarry with exception. But at the very least, it can be very beneficial for getting to the bottom very quickly from the top without having to mine your way down. So that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit-by-bit update on Astral Sorcery here with the wonderful ever-shifting fountain, the Neuromantic Prime, and the Resonator upgrade, plus all sorts of Chalice upgrades and other things like that. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see ya.